It's done, it's done, it's done. I'm happy about it. Now I'm writing the pattern. Quilt math still hard. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. It is vlog number 442 for February the 2nd, 2026. Happy Groundhog Day. Yeah, I always get this wrong. If he sees his shadow, we have 6 more weeks of winter. If he doesn't see his shadow, it's 6 more weeks until spring. Aren't those the same thing? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Anyways, let's take a look at some things that do matter. Excuse me, at least to me. So first thing up, my Quilt of Valor. I am very pleased with this. It is completely finished now. It is all quilted. It's bound, everything, and I have started working on the pattern. Actually, I got the pattern done yesterday, but I will talk more about this quilt and show you some close-ups of the quilting in it tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter, so stay tuned for that. And I've started another project as well. Just a little palette cleanser, although I'm getting very confused in putting these pieces together, but I'll sort it out. And this is what's called the Springtime Table Runner, and it does use colors that are a little bit outside of my color wheel, but that's okay. Got to try new things all the time, don't we? So right now it doesn't look like much, but I'm hoping I'll be able to get it done sometime this week, and I'll probably show it to you at the end of the week or into next week. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about why I'm having some difficulties with this, which involve, why not read the instructions? Duh. Tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. So that's what I have been working on. So let's turn our attention then to, okay, it is going to be a little political here. And yeah, it's okay, for those of you that don't like politics, I'm sorry. What can I say? It is our life these days, isn't it? But anyways, this is the YouTube channel of the week, and this is Trump threatens 100% tariffs on Canada, and Canada comes out the winner. Yes, we do. You know, there's a lot of talk about what's going on right now with Trump and his threats of tariffs and things like that, and threatening to make us Canada in the 51st state and all of that kind of stuff. Well, I found this particular video that came out recently after Trump threatened to put 100% tariffs on us, on Canada, because of Carney's remarks at the DEVA conference. Sorry, I got that term wrong. But you know, the big economic conference amongst the major trade powers in the world. And these two people in this particular video, and this comes from one that I subscribe to called The Planet D, gives you the Canadian perspective in a very succinct way about how these tariffs are going to affect us. And just to let you know, spoiler alert, they're not going to. Not the way Trump thinks they are. The only people that are going to be majorly affected by him doing something like this are the American people themselves. However, if you want to know what it is like from a Canadian's perspective on all of this, about, you know, not just tariffs, but the way Trump speaks about us as Canadians, who, you know, we were best friends for a long, long time. Not so much now. Then you're going to want to see this. It's called Trump Threatens 100% Tariffs on Canada, and Canada comes out the winner. So, you know, educate yourselves a little bit from the perspective, if you're not a Canadian point of view. So you'll find a link to that little video clip if you want to see the whole thing in the show notes below. There's also a link for Sewing with Stephen for Wednesday. Always have them on Wednesdays. We start at 9. We end at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. All are welcome. If you've never been to one, don't be shy. It's just a Zoom link. If you're not really comfortable with Zoom yet because you haven't used it that much, and why haven't you? We'll help you out. Not a problem. Okay? It's very, very simple. And it's a fun day. It's always a fun day. So that's on every Wednesday, and the link you will find in the show notes below. You're going to find a link also to all my friends' channels, and you're going to find a link to all my past week's videos as well if you've missed some of them. And just a little reminder here about videos that I put up. I put up for a week, sometimes 5. Yeah. I don't have a life. But it really, really helps me. And this is something I'm saying now a little bit more so. I didn't like saying this in the past, but every creator does. And I guess it does help to say this, but subscribe, please. Click on the subscribe button. This helps me out a great deal. I'm not going to say to you that without you subscribing to my channel, I wouldn't be able to do this, because that's not true. I'm not a business. Yes, I do make a little bit of money from the advertising. I can't stop the advertising on here. That's all up to Google and YouTube. So I might as well get something for it. And it's not much, believe me. But if you subscribe to me, it helps me out a little bit. And usually any of the money that I make, I put back into the channel, kind of a thing, just to, buy things to show you or for equipment, things like that. But when you subscribe to me, it does something more important than a monetary gain. It makes me feel that I'm doing something worthwhile, that you are enjoying my content and you want to be part of it. It costs you nothing to subscribe. You know that, I am sure, right now. Costs you nothing. You don't get endless emails from me or anything like that, because I don't even know who has subscribed, basically. I don't have that information. So, yeah. And I know a lot of you have probably been on here, according to the statistics, which confuse me completely. I'm not a statistician. But there looks like, a lot of you have been here a long time and you've never subscribed. And also hit the bell for what it's worth, because it's supposed to let you know when I put up a new video. I don't think it works. I do that with all the channels I subscribe to, and sometimes I get a notification, sometimes I don't. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So, but can it hurt? No, not really. Again, free. So yeah. And if you want to know what my schedule is, if you're new here, Mondays, it's my vlog. Tuesdays, it is my weekly episode of The Idiot Quilter. That's where I talk more specifically about quilting and sewing and related topics. Fridays, Walter and I do So Chatty, and that's just as it says. We usually get our topics for So Chatty from you, the subscribers, and we try to keep those related to quilting and sewing and fabric and stuff like that. And then, of course, on Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern is Stephen and Walter Live, and that's just a free-for-all. Yeah, you never know what we're going to talk about. So, anyways, I just thought I'd give you the lowdown on that, because I have noticed on my subscriptions they have been going up. Not by leaps and bounds. Be nice if they went up by leaps and bounds, but it's my hobby. That's why I do this. It's more or less, I used to be a teacher. I'm a retired teacher, and this is my classroom. Yeah. Old teachers never died, they just lose their class. Bump. I'm here all week. Try the veal. Okay, let's move on, shall we, to what the weather's looking like outside. And I know we've been going through a cold spell here in North America. And some of you who are not used to going through these cold spells and getting ice and getting a little bit of snow, you're probably freezing your Tamagotchi right off. Yeah, there's a word. But I'll show you what it's looking like right now out my front door. Here it is. Yes, the Christmas lights, we're not calling them Christmas lights. They're seasonal lights. I mean, after all, those people put up those little disc things underneath the eaves that are all the rage, and we might do that come the warmer weather too, because I kind of like those. But these lights are programmable as well. Walter already has a plan to switch them over to red for Valentine's Day. Yeah, soon. But in the meantime, they're still up there, and I like the little glow. Like right now, look at the colors that are in the sky. It's, not quite dawn yet. It's changing to it, but that purpley glow in the sky, I think that's part of the effect of the ring light and the blue light out there and everything reflecting. But I think the colors are beautiful. And actually, that whole backdrop that's there with the trees and the houses in shadow, with just some lights on them and that, I think I should take this picture and crop it because it's a really pretty picture. Yeah, but I digress. Weather, cold, minus 14 degrees C here. We're going to have a high of -5, so that's balmy. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. What's in the forecast, however, for today? Any precipitation in the form of snow? No, none whatsoever. Any this week? Well, it's just going to be cold this week. It looks like the highest temperature this week is going to be about -1, and that's not till Friday, and there's 65% chance of snow on Friday, but nothing up until Friday. But it just keeps on being cold. Ooh, a week from this coming Tuesday, we're going to have a high of 0. Yeah. And of course, all my temperatures are in Celsius, as you know. So, yeah, cold. But it'll be nice to get a break from snow falling and, yeah, from shoveling, which I don't do. Walter does it, and all that kind of stuff. And sidewalks will be a little clearer, hopefully, for my walks. Okay, so that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, Traitors, as I said in the title of today's video. Traitors. We have traitors in Canada, and I'm really upset about this. I am a Canadian, yes. I am a 6th generation Canadian. This is my home. I am proud of my home. I am proud of my country. I am proud of my people. And it hurts my heart when I see individuals in this country who want to separate from it. And I'm talking about Alberta. Now, I could talk about Quebec, but why? Every so many years, they get this little, we want to separate urge, and then they think better of it, and they go back to sleep for a while. But this is something kind of new in Alberta. Kind of not, but kind of new. And we talked about that yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. But, I want to say this to all Canadians. This is not the time to be a traitor. We need the country to be solid, to be together, to be whole. We cannot have splinter groups because Trump will feed on the splinter groups. He and his cronies think that that's a hole in our armor sort of a thing. He'll get his little knife in there and pry it apart, or try to. He will not be able to do it successfully. But come on, we have a great country. We live well. We work well. We have a great culture. We have many cultures, actually, in this country because, what is a Canadian? Well, a Canadian could be somebody that has come from Asia, from Europe, from South America, from wherever in the world, and they are Canadian too. So our identity is really an identity that is global, and we should be proud of that. Yes, we can bitch about the prices of things because that's what we do as human beings. We bitch about the prices. And yes, there is a problem with the prices of food and housing and everything else in our country, but that's not unique. And as Canadians, we usually suck it up. We have a great healthcare system, and we look after our people as well. Sure, a lot of people bitch that we have high taxes. Yeah, we have high taxes, but taxes and death, they both happen. Yeah. And those taxes are paying for our healthcare system. So somebody here breaks their leg, goes into the hospital, doesn't have to worry about coming out with a $25,000 bill. We have a vast, beautiful country. I mean, it is so diverse in the nature from coast to coast to coast. Yes, we have 3 coasts: Pacific, Atlantic, and Arctic. We have mountains. We have prairies. We have great cities. We have great communities. Generally, everything is nice here in Canada. And Trump and his cronies are trying to destroy that. So we do not need to have people within our own country trying to destroy it. And you know, these are not smart people. I'm sorry, they are not smart people. And when I say them, I mean Alberta. Now, not all Albertans, okay? It's a small minority. But of course, we hear about it on the media because the media picks up everything that is negative and blows it out of proportion, usually. Because they're only interested in one thing, and that's, you know, making money from other people's pain more than anything else. Those idiots out in Alberta that are part of this little group, and it is little, supposedly want $500 billion. Maybe I should say it this way. $500 billion. Yeah, and if you know where that's from, think Austin Powers. As a line of credit, so they can pull apart from Canada and become what? Become what? If the United States was to take over Alberta, if they separate it, what does Alberta think they're going to get from that? They're just going to become a 51st state. They're not going to be special. In fact, they're going to be worse off. They want to become their own separate country. Let's say you have a really wicked imagination, because to set up a country, you just don't snap your fingers, even with a $500 billion line of credit, and create a country. There's things you have to do. You have to set up your political system. You have to set up your infrastructure. Your infrastructure right now, Alberta, is dependent upon the federal government and the other provinces around you to a major degree. So suddenly, those resources are cut off. You think you're going to attract businesses to Alberta as a separate country? Not really. The only businesses you're going to attract are ones from foreign countries that want to take you over financially. What about OAS, which is Old Age Security, and CPP, Canadian Pension Plan? Well, the OAS will disappear, period. That's federal. And you didn't pay anything into OAS, technically. So you're not going to get anything there. And CPP, all you're going to get is whatever you put into that, which you did when you were working, or if you're still working. That's about all you're going to get. It's not going to be much. So what if you think? You think Canada's going to pay you to separate? No, they're not. Businesses that may be located out in Alberta right now, and there's a lot of major insurance companies that have had head offices in Alberta, they're not going to hang around. We've seen that before. When Quebec turned around and back a decade or so ago to a couple of decades ago to separate, businesses pulled out of Quebec and relocated to other parts of Canada. Yeah, we have precedent. So you should pay attention to the history and the precedent as well. Overall, it's a stupid idea, and anybody with half a brain can see why that's stupid. But more than anything else, in this time where we're basically protecting and fighting for our sovereignty as a country against the threat of the southern on the other side of the border, you have the gall to stir the pot by talking about separation from this country? You are idiots, and I'm sorry. Look, those of you that think you should separate, I have a solution that won't cost you much. Won't cost you much at all. Move. If you want to be part of the United States, move there. Nothing's stopping you. Get your papers and go move into the United States. Bye-bye. We don't need you. But as I said, it is a very, very small minority. So right now, they're trying to get together 128,000 signatures so that they can present this to the Albertan government to have a referendum, which would say, you want to leave? I'll help you pack your bags. Bye-bye. But you are a vital part of Canada. Canada is not Canada without each of its provinces. Each province brings something unique to this country, and that uniqueness creates the Canadian identity. Yes, Alberta, I hate to say it, but we need you. Stop whining about how you have been so badly treated. You have not been badly treated. Get off your high horse and think that you can hold us at ransom because you have all the oil. Wake up and smell the coffee. Don't be trying to go, you've been mean to me, so now see what's going to happen. That's a 5-year-old problem. Just take your dolls and go home and cry then, in that case. So, yes, Alberta, right now, you're not my favorite province. Not that you ever were. But I'm very, very disappointed in those of you who think you should separate from Canada. Again, it is a small, very small minority of idiots. So that's what's pissing me off this week. And I'm pretty sure this will be like how it happens in Quebec. It'll rear its head for a while and then it'll go back to sleep. And, well, it should go to sleep forever. Okay, let's move on to how our garden is growing, our grow lights. And, okay, we've got a mixed bag happening here. Under grow light number 1, we've got a good crop of lettuce. I see a little bit of brown in there. We need to pull that out. However, in grow light number 2, things are just looking a little lame here. We've got some more lettuce there, but it's the last of that crop. And the basil's looking a little weird. Yeah, we got to use up more basil. Of course, meanwhile, out under grow light number 3, or like what I like to call it, the jungle, we've got our tomato plants. We've got a lot of flowers on the tomato plants. And where there's flowers, there should be tomatoes eventually. So that's coming along. These are weird looking plants too. They always look like they're a little bit like they're dying, they're wilting, but that's just the variety of them. And I can't tell you what the official name of the variety is for these tomatoes. They're called kitchen tomatoes, but they do really well under the grow lights. And you can see our pepper tree. I can't call it a pepper plant anymore. That sucker's getting big and thick. There's another one there too. It looks just like sticks, and I don't know how that one's going to hang on. We've got a good crop off that one, but there's a little one. I don't know if you can see it peeking there and behind the tomato plants, but there's a brand new pepper plant that Walter has planted. Peppers take a long time, even outdoors. They take about 80 days to mature outdoors. Indoors, it's pretty much the same. So right now we are actually forced to buy green peppers, which means you're forced to take out a second mortgage if you want green peppers. But once these come back on again, and they will, we'll be fine again. I don't know what other plans Walter has for the jungle. He's always out there puttering about with them, making sure they have lots to drink, and, you know, gives them a little bit of Miracle Grow, I think, every now and then, and that spurts them on too. So yeah, it's coming along, our indoor garden. Okay, so what's that take me to? Yeah, new products. Well, not that exciting. I bought a couple of things from Amazon. I'll show you here. And let me see if I can blow that up a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so I bought some USB blocks, charger blocks. You know, everything you buy these days is with a USB charger on them, a USB plug. I have them all over the house, and I love these little blocks because they're fairly inexpensive. I think that was a package of 3 for $12 or something, or $11.99, something like that, and they're dual. And I use them a lot, especially with the 3D printed houses and things that I make that take lights and that. That's how the lights get plugged in. They go in there. But having said that, then I also need the next thing that you see right below, and that's the smart plugs. Which I can set up using my cell phone, and I can put schedules on them so that my lights and things come on automatically, or they're also activated by my Amazon devices. And so I have a lot of those throughout the house. I mean, I'm talking to the walls all the time. You know, this on, this off, whatever. And then the timers for them all. So yeah, that's my big purchases for this week. I told you it wasn't that exciting. So, speaking of 3D printing, so can I print this 3D effing thing? Well, yeah, I'm on a kick. Well, I'm over it now. For soap sleeves. There's a whole bunch of these made. Now, at Christmas time, I made some of these to give as Christmas gifts, and they fit over the bath, what they call Body Works foaming soaps that come in the pump bottle, and they just kind of give a decorative look for your bathroom with that. But some people are getting very inventive and creative with these things, so let me show you what I mean here. Like this little guy, the little bear. Now he's just cute. And you'll notice that he looks like he's got like sort of texture to him. Well, he does. That's called fuzzy skin. That is a feature on the slicer for the 3D printers where you can do this textured kind of surface on things. And certain things look really good with that, like this bear. It makes him look like, it almost makes him look not like he's made from plastic, but that he's made from ceramic or something like that. So he's a cute little guy. Then we've got, of course, you have to have a minion. Now, I showed you some of the other things I made last week, but this is this week's. So the minion, I think he's fun. And then we have Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, and his honey pot. And he's just cute too. This would be so cute. I was thinking the other day in a kid's room, not with soap in it. You could take the soap bottle out because they, you know, they're replaceable. And put pens and pencils or pencil crayons or something like that in it, or crayons. That would work for that too. And I think that would be really quite cute. Is that the, oh, and okay, so those are the last of these. I'm done. I have no more room. My guest bathroom down here, down in my rec room area, they're everywhere in there. I have a problem. Yeah, I know. The other thing I have a problem with is 3D buildings, and this is my latest one. It is the Up house. If you've seen the movie Up, this is the house. And it's stinking cute. It really is. Now, this one does not take lights, so he doesn't light up. Now, I can do something about that if I so desire. I don't know if I'm going to bother because where I have it sitting now is in a spot that isn't that convenient to an outlet. However, I bought more of those thingies there you saw, the timers, the smart plugs. So I may wire him up with that. The problem is I have these disc lights that have a little switch on them, and they don't work so well on a timer setting. I have found that usually things that you plug into a timer that have those little button switches, you know, that you click down, click up, they don't like smart outlets. They need somebody to push them on and off. So, but that doesn't mean I can't light him up. I'll explore other options, and there are other options out there. But this is fun. Now, I'm thinking of doing another one of Fluvo. I'm not sure how you say his name, F-U-L-V. You've seen other creations I have done of his products as well, like the Dracula Castle, the Haunted Manor, the Christmas Manor, the theater, all that. I've got a lot of them throughout the house. I love making them. He's got one that is a light, and it looks like a hot air balloon. I've hesitated on getting it and putting it together, not because I don't like it. No, I do like it. I think it's really cute. I just don't know where I'm going to put it once I have it done. This is the problem. I need a bigger house. I need a house with 2 extra rooms on it. One room for all my fabric and quilts, and another room for all my 3D creations. Yeah, it's not going to happen, but it's a dream. But anyways, yeah, I love making these things. Okay, so that takes me to old video clips from or our early days of Stephen and Walter Live. And this one we discuss bridezillas and wedding invitations.
But they used to do the same thing when I worked at the scrapbooking store. Paper. 99 cents for a sheet of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper. Then they would hem and haw and try to figure out if one sheet was going to do everything they needed. And I said, why don't you just get a second sheet of paper? Then you're okay. Because, I mean, you'll probably use it on something else anyways if you don't use it this time. It's only 99 cents. Oh, no, I don't really want to go that way because, I don't want to have a lot of leftovers. Okay, whatever. And then, ironically, they would come back in the store 2 weeks later and say, do you know that paper that I bought? And most of the time I wouldn't remember, but whatever. And do you have any more of it? I need another sheet of it. No, it's gone. Can you get any more? No, I can't. Because the problem with scrapbooking paper is if you don't buy enough of it when you see it, your chances of seeing it again are next to none with it. Because that's how they work. The manufacturers of scrapbooking paper. It's in right now. When it's gone, it's gone. They move on to their new line. Whatever. And they get all uptight and upset. Oh, well, and then I go, yeah, I remember that paper. I remember saying to you that maybe you might want a second sheet of it, but you told me you didn't want a lot of waste. And then they get a little dumbfounded. Well, I am being a little bit sarcastic about it. And they go, oh, yeah, I probably should have, but, at the time. Yeah, I said, well,
not only is it 99 cents cheap, they've had to spend the gas to drive back and forth to the store
to find another sheet. And some of them get really uptight. Oh, the ones that used to come in, and I knew, first of all, that they weren't regular scrapbookers, but there'd be usually it would be in pairs. There'd either be a young lady, late 20s, early 30s or something like that, with a guy in tow, or with an older lady in tow. And they come in and go, hi, and do you have this color and this color in paper, in cardstock? And I'd say, let me guess, you're making wedding invitations, aren't you? Yes, I am. And I said, and how many wedding invitations do you need? Oh, 100, 150. Uh-huh. And now tell me this, if your colors are not black and white, you have no hope in hell of getting enough paper to make your wedding invitations out of whatever color you want, like chartreuse with pink bunnies or whatever you're picking. They always picked weird colors every time. And then they look at me. Oh, and they get upset with me too. I could see it in their eyes like, oh, you're just being a man. You're just being ignorant. No, I said, no. I'd look at them and go, no, what I'm saying is this. Paper changes. We don't have that much paper in stock, like of one color. Said, second of all, what you're showing me, and they usually had a swatch of something like the bridesmaids' dresses or what colors they were using on their tables or something. They want it to match that, right? And I'd look and go, you can't do it. Well, it's blue. I said, you know how many shades of blue there are? As many people as there are on the face of the earth, there's that many shades of blue.
Not only that, I don't know, I always find it funny with some people with their colors too, is they want to match the color to the dress. But is anybody going to take the wedding invitation that you send them
and hold it up to the dress?
It up to your dress,
and go,
right?
oh my God, what a match! Or, oh, that didn't make the mark. Oh, that's a shade off. The other problem is, okay, if they did find the color that they wanted, they were going to use, and I would say to them, how many invitations are you making? And they'd say like 100, say. And I said, have you figured out how many invitations you can get out of one sheet of paper? Like, because, invitations vary in size. And I'd say to them, you might want to add extra paper onto that for a couple of reasons. One, if you make some stakes, which you probably will, if you're making these yourself, you'll need extras. You'll need spare paper. But I said, here's what often happens. And they wouldn't believe me. I'd see this disbelief and like I was talking through, out of the top of my head or out of my rear end or something. And I'd say to them, because what'll happen is you're going to run out of paper. for this, and you're going to want more. And you're going to come back into the store here, and you'll be expecting to find more of it, and it won't be there, or there won't be enough of it. And then you'll want to order it. Now, you know how long it takes to order the paper? I cannot guarantee when that paper is going to come in, because our supplier may not have it in stock. They have to go to their supplier. It could take a week, it could take a month, it could take a year. And I'm sure you don't want to wait that long for it. And then I often would throw in, and when do you need these invitations for? 2 weeks from now. I go, yeah, lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. I never would say that to their face, because that would be somewhat, sarcastic
Nasty.
and nasty. But I thought it a lot. I said, and they still look at me as though like deer in headlights. So I said, so I strongly suggest you buy more of it right now while you can get it. They would never take my advice. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they'd come back in the store. They'd be in a panic. Hi, you remember me? Oh, you're Bridezilla. Yeah, I remember you. I need more of that paper. Yeah. Well, let's take a look. Nope, got 2 pieces of it. How much do you need? I need 25 sheets. Sorry, I don't have. Well, I bought it here. Yeah, I know you bought it here, but rack is empty. Rack is empty. Okay. Well, can you order it? I said, I'll look it up and see. But I said, I'm going to tell you the problem is, if it's not in stock yet in our supplier, we may never be able to get it for you in time. And when do you need it? Well, I have to send out my invitations this weekend. This is Thursday. Uh-huh. So then I'd say to them, there's another problem. Yes, I can get you more of that paper. They have lots of it in stock. That means we'll probably get it in a week's time. Oh, that's great. I don't need to send these out for another month. Okay, great. Except I got to warn you of this. Could be a different dye lot. What do you mean? I said, paper is produced in large quantities and shipped out. When the company that is supplying the paper runs out and they make more of it, it may not be exactly the same shade as what you bought in the first lot, because the dye lots change, because they have to mix up the formula again, and it's never the same twice. It may be very, very close, and unless people are taking their invitations and holding up against each other, they're never going to know. But of course, Bridezillas, they get all uptight about this. What do you mean it's not going to match? It's my wedding! Oh my God! Elope. One word. Elope. Screw it. That's why I suggest black and white. You can't go wrong with black and white. It goes with everything, and it's classy. And it's easy to
And
get.
you can get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, I had a pop-up sew day, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. But just for your knowledge, those of you that enjoy coming to the pop-up sew days, the next one's probably going to be on February the 21st, so in just about 3 weeks' time. Stay tuned. I will give you all the details about that when we get closer to the date. And nothing else major is coming up this week, so I'm going to say goodbye. Be sure to tune in to the Idiot Quilter tomorrow, Tuesday, and to Sew Chatty on Friday. And of course, Stephen and Walter live on Sunday. Lots of things here for your viewing entertainment. So I hope you have a great week. I hope you're staying warm if you're someplace where it's not so warm. And yeah, get out there and have a good time. And don't separate from my channel. You know how I feel about separatism. Bye.